Hi, my name is David. You're listening to the last podcast where the first shall be last and the last shall be first. If this is your first time listening, welcome. I hope you enjoy the show and find value. If you're returning, welcome back. Thank you so much for listening, and I appreciate you. I also hope that you continue to find tips, ideas, and value that will enhance your life one way or another. Today I'm going to read a poem because guess what? It's Poetry Friday, and I love poetry. I grew up on poetry, and I'm going to read a poem by Emily Dickerson. But before I do, it's a little known fact here. Emily Dickerson, or Emily Elizabeth Dickerson, was born December 10th, 1830, and passed away May 15th, 1886. Was born an American poet. Little was known during her lifetime. She's since been regarded one of the most important figures in American poetry. Dickerson was born in Amherst, Massachusetts, into a prominent family with strong ties to its community. After studying at Amherst Academy for 7 years in her youth, she briefly attended Mount Holyoke Female Seminary, and some people might pronounce that Holyoke, before returning to her family's home in Amherst. Evidence suggests that Dickerson lived much of her life in isolation. Considered an eccentric by locals, she developed a penchant for white clothing and was known for her reluctance to greet guests or later in life even leave her bedroom. Dickerson never married, and most of her friendships between her and others depended entirely on correspondence. But here's a little fun fact that you probably didn't know unless you really looked up on her. In her lifetime, Emily only published about 10 poems. Out of the 1,800 poems she has in her catalog, only around 10 of them was published while she was living. The rest was published after she passed away, and her sister is the one who found her cache of poetry and basically got them all published. But that was a little known fact there. I hope you guys appreciate that. Many of Emily's poems, they didn't have names. They basically they were unnamed, as far as how you name a poem. But I'm reading a book, and in the book they have them as numbers, and this poem that I'm about to read is 633. But the strange thing is, before I read this poem, I want to let you know that Emily's theme in poetry and in letter writing dealt a lot with death and immortality. And I've got that little known fact from Wikipedia, so I'm quoting it off of that. In this book, 633, and that is the name of this poem, or poem 633, how it's cataloged. I saw no way. The heavens were stitched. I felt the columns close. The earth reversed her hemispheres. I touched the universe, and back it slid. And I alone, a speck upon a ball, went out upon circumference beyond the dip of Bell. End of the poem. Okay, so we know that Jesus in John 14:6 says, I am the way. So does it seem like she was saying the path is closed to me? The heavens were stitched. I saw no way. I guess, Jesus, did she believe in Jesus at that time? She claims she saw no way, and Jesus say, I am the way, John 14:6. So I'm wondering, if she saw no way, did she believe in Jesus, being that the heavens was stitched up for her and she saw no way to get to heaven? Well, that was the poem that I read that was 633. However, there's a lot to think about that. Before I read this poem, I told you that in her letters and in her themes, she talked a lot about immortality, and she talked a lot about death. So we have to wonder, what was she thinking at this point? Did she see the heavens and she saw no way to get into heaven? Did she see something else? Even though she didn't really mention she saw hell, or she didn't even mention, she just mentioned the heavens. However, she is not here to let us know what that really meant for her, because as a poet myself, I write in metaphors as well. So we can determine or try to determine what she meant by her poetry. We could try to decipher it, but it's always best guess. Although we can surmise that she believes in God, she believes in Jesus. She just didn't believe that there was no way for her to get into heaven. But we would really never know, because she's not here to say, yep, that's it, you got it right. Now I'm going to read another poem by Robert Frost, and he's one of my favorite poets as well. I just like his style of poetry. Robert Lee Frost was born March 26, 1874, and passed away January 29, 1963. He was an American poet. His work was initially published in New England before it was published in the United States. Known for his realistic depictions of rural life and his command of American colloquial speech, Frost frequently wrote about settings from rural life in New England in the early 20th century, using them to examine complex social and philosophical themes. Now, what's so amazing about Robert Frost is Frost was the only poet to receive 4 Pulitzer Prizes for poetry. He became one of America's rare public literary figures, almost an artistic institution. He was awarded the Congressional Gold Medal in 1960 for his poetic works, and on July 22, 1961, Frost was named Poet Laureate of Vermont. Now, the poem I'm going to read right now is called Revelation. We make ourselves a place apart, behind light words that tease and flout. But oh, the agitated heart, till someone really find us out. 'Tis pity if the case require, or so we say, that in the end we speak the literal to the inspired, the understanding to a friend. But so with all, from babes that play at hide and seek to God afar. So all who hide too well away must speak and tell us where they are. That's the end of that poem by Robert Frost. And I hope you guys enjoyed Poetry Friday. You want to hit me up if you want to read a poem, or if you have, what you could do is read a poem and record yourself reading it, and I'll play it here every Friday. Somebody new. I thank you again for listening. Again, you're listening to the last podcast. My name is Dave. Until next time, you guys have a great weekend. Bye.